You know the stories. Jesus turning water into wine, walking on water. We call them miracles, these incredible moments of divine power. But what if I told you they weren't just random acts? The Gospel of John spotlights 7 specific events he calls signs, and together they form a kind of divine constellation. Each one is a bright star, but when you connect them, a powerful picture of who Jesus is comes into view that will change the way you read the Bible. The Apostle John wasn't just writing a biography, he was building a case. The first half of his Gospel is often called the Book of Signs, a hand-picked collection of 7 miracles with one goal, to prove that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. These aren't just miracles. The Greek word John uses is semeion, which means sign. Think of a road sign. It isn't the destination, but it points you toward it. In the same way, these 7 miracles point to something beyond themselves, each revealing another layer of Jesus' identity. They build on each other, escalating from a quiet miracle at a wedding to the most stunning display of power imaginable. Today we're unpacking the secrets of these 7 signs, and I promise, you'll see them in a whole new light. We're going to break down each one, revealing the mind-blowing power and the deep meaning you might have missed. So let's start the journey and decode the first sign. Our journey begins in John chapter 2 at a wedding in a little town called Cana. In that culture, a wedding was a massive multi-day party, the biggest social event a family could throw. It was pure joy and community. But then, disaster strikes. They run out of wine. This wasn't just a minor hiccup, this was a complete social humiliation for the host family. Mary, Jesus' mother, turns to him. She knows who he is. She just says, "They have no wine." Jesus' response sounds a little odd to our ears. "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." But Mary isn't deterred. She tells the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby were 6 huge stone water jars, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. These weren't for drinking. They were for Jewish purification rites. They held water for ceremonial washing, representing the old way of relating to God through ritual. Jesus tells the servants to fill those jars with water, right to the brim. Then he says, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." The servants obey. When the master of the banquet tastes it, he's floored. He calls the bridegroom over, saying, "Everyone serves the good wine first, but you have saved the best until now." He has no clue where this amazing wine came from, but the servants knew. And so did the disciples. John tells us this was the first of Jesus' signs where he manifested his glory and his disciples believed in him. So what's the deeper meaning here? It's like Jesus walked into a kitchen that only had the bland water of old religious rituals and transformed it into the joyful wine of a new celebration. He's showing he has power over nature itself, able to change something at its core. The old way of rules is running out and Jesus is bringing in something new, something better, full of life. This first sign isn't just a miracle. It's a declaration that the Messiah has arrived, and he's here to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. The second sign, in John chapter 4, raises the stakes. This time it reveals Jesus' authority over distance and his power to heal with just a word. Jesus is back in Cana when a royal official comes to him. This was likely a man serving King Herod Antipas, a person of status now humbled and desperate. His son is in Capernaum about 20 miles away, knocking on death's door. He begs Jesus to come and heal his son before it's too late. Jesus challenges him, and the crowd saying, "Unless you people see signs and wonders, you will never believe." He's calling out the hunger for a spectacle, but this father isn't there for a show. He's there for his son. He pleads again, "Sir, come down before my child dies." His faith is raw and urgent, and here's where the power escalates. Jesus doesn't go with him, he simply says, "Go, your son will live." That's it, a command. And the Bible says, the man took Jesus at his word and departed. Imagine that. He turned around and started the long walk home, holding on to nothing but a promise. On his way, his servants run to meet him with the news, his son is alive. He asks them when the boy got better. They tell him, yesterday at 1 PM, the fever left him. The father realizes it was the exact moment Jesus had said, "Your son will live." And because of this, John says, he and his whole household believed. The mind-blowing truth here is that Jesus' power isn't like a Wi-Fi signal that gets weaker with distance. His authority is absolute and immediate. He simply had to speak the word, and the healing was delivered instantly, bridging the 20 miles between desperation and deliverance. This sign shows his power over space itself, a powerful picture that faith doesn't always mean seeing, it means trusting the one who speaks with divine authority. The third sign, in John chapter 5, takes us to Jerusalem, to the pool of Bethesda. The name means house of mercy, But the scene is filled with suffering. Around this pool lay a huge number of people with disabilities. They were there because of a local superstition. An angel would sometimes stir the water, and the first person in would be healed. Among them is a man who has been an invalid for 38 years. A lifetime of helplessness. Jesus sees him and asks a stunning question. Do you want to get well? It seems obvious, but perhaps after 4 decades the man's will was as paralyzed as his body. He doesn't say yes, he gives an excuse. Sir, I have no one to help me into the pool. Jesus cuts right through the excuses. With total authority, Jesus commands, get up, pick up your mat, and walk. And just like that, the man is healed. He picks up the mat that had been his world for decades and walks. But the story isn't over. This happened on the Sabbath. The religious leaders see the man carrying his mat and confront him. It is the Sabbath. The law forbids you to carry your mat. They were more obsessed with their rules than with the man's miraculous healing. Here's the stunning significance. Jesus isn't just healing a man's body. He's claiming authority over the entire religious system. The man's 38-year paralysis is like a living portrait of Israel's 38 years wandering in the wilderness because of unbelief. He was stuck, just like they were. Jesus shows he has come to free people from that kind of spiritual paralysis. He is the true source of healing, not a mythical pool or a list of rules. We're about halfway through this divine roadmap, and the signs are just getting more intense. We've seen Jesus as Lord over substance, space, and religious law. But what's next is even bigger. If you're finding this as fascinating as I am, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the signs to come because they reveal who Jesus is in truly awe-inspiring ways. And if you know someone who loves digging deep into the Bible, share this video with them. Now let's get back to sign number 4. The 4th sign in John chapter 6 is probably the most famous miracle of all, but its real meaning often gets lost in the spectacle. This is more than a giant picnic. It's a living parable pointing to who Jesus is. A massive crowd, over 5,000 men, plus women and children, has followed Jesus to a remote place. Jesus turns to his disciples to test them. Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat? Philip, the practical one, does the math and despairs. It would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. Then Andrew pipes up, pointing to a young boy. Here is a lad with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many? Barley loaves were the bread of the poor. It was a peasant's lunch. But in the hands of Jesus, it's like giving a world-class artist a few simple crayons. The insignificant becomes a masterpiece. Jesus takes the loaves, gives thanks, and starts handing them out. Everyone ate as much as they wanted. But here's the really amazing part. After everyone is satisfied, Jesus tells the disciples to gather the leftovers. They fill 12 baskets. This miracle is like a flash of divine déjà vu, intentionally echoing God providing manna in the wilderness. But Jesus is showing he's an upgrade. Manna was like a daily packed lunch from heaven. Jesus is presenting himself as the source of all nourishment, the bread of life. Later in the chapter, Jesus says it plainly, I am the bread of life. And those 12 baskets of leftovers, that's no random number. It's a powerful symbol of his provision for all of God's people, represented by the 12 tribes of Israel. This sign reveals Jesus not just as a miracle worker, but as the very source of spiritual life, the only one who can satisfy our deepest hunger. Right after feeding the 5,000, John gives us the 5th sign in chapter 6, and it's one that completely defies the laws of physics. Jesus goes up a mountainside to pray, while his disciples get in a boat to cross the Sea of Galilee. As night falls, a violent storm kicks up. The disciples are fighting the oars, battling the wind and waves in total darkness, terrified and lost in the chaos. Then, through the storm, they see a figure walking on the water toward them. They freak out. They think it's a ghost. But a voice cuts through the storm. It is I, do not be afraid. It is I. In Greek, ego eimi. This is the same phrase used in the Greek Old Testament when God reveals his name to Moses at the burning bush, I am. Jesus isn't just saying, hey guys, it's me. He's making a direct claim to be God. The moment he gets into the boat, the storm stops, and they are instantly at their destination. The mind-blowing truth here is Jesus' total command over chaos. Imagine the storm is a wild, untamed beast. Jesus doesn't just cage the beast. He calmly walks on its back, showing it who the true master is. The sea, which often represented chaos and evil, becomes his walkway. This is a personal promise. He meets us in our storms, speaks peace into our fear, and proves he's in control, ready to bring us safely to shore. The sixth sign, in John chapter 9, is a masterfully told drama about physical and spiritual blindness. As Jesus is walking, he sees a man who was blind from birth. His disciples ask, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" They saw a theological puzzle. Jesus saw a person. "Neither this man nor his parents sinned," Jesus said, "but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him." Then he declares, "While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." To prove it, he spits on the ground, makes some mud, and puts it on the man's eyes. Then he gives a command, "Go, wash in the pool of Siloam." The name Siloam means sent, a clear nod to Jesus being the one sent from God. The man obeys. He washes, and for the first time in his life, he sees. This sets off a huge controversy. The religious leaders are furious because Jesus did this on the Sabbath. They interrogate the man and his parents, refusing to believe it, but the healed man's faith gets stronger with every challenge. He goes from calling Jesus a man to a prophet, and finally he worships him as the Son of Man. This story is a brilliant living parable. It's a divine role reversal. The man's eyes are opened, both physically and spiritually, like someone walking out of a dark cave into brilliant sunlight. Meanwhile, the Pharisees, who thought they stood in the light, are revealed to be the ones stumbling in the dark, blinded by their own pride. Jesus is the light of the world, come to give sight to the spiritually blind. We've arrived at the seventh and final sign in John's Gospel, the absolute climax. This miracle in John chapter 11 is the most daring and the one that directly leads to the plot to kill Jesus. Jesus gets word that his friend, Lazarus, is sick. But he intentionally waits 2 more days. He tells his disciples, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory. By the time Jesus gets to Bethany, Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days. This was critical. Many believed that after 3 days all hope was gone. Lazarus wasn't just sick, he was irreversibly dead. The situation was hopeless. Martha, heartbroken, meets Jesus. "Lord," she says, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus promises her that her brother will rise again. She thinks he means in the distant future. That's when Jesus makes one of the most powerful statements in the Bible. "I am the resurrection and the life." Do you believe this? This is a crucial distinction. It's the difference between a banker who gives you money and the treasury that is the source of money. Jesus isn't just a broker of life, he is life itself. He orders the stone rolled away. Then, with a loud voice, Jesus yells, "Lazarus, come out!" And the man who had been dead for 4 days, still wrapped in burial cloths, walks out of the tomb, alive. This is the ultimate sign. It proves Jesus' absolute authority over death, our final enemy. It's a shocking preview of his own resurrection. Lazarus was a dress rehearsal. This sign is the final, undeniable piece of evidence. Jesus has shown he is Lord over nature, distance, time, law, sickness, and now, finally, death itself. The only conclusion is that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, the resurrection and the life. 7 signs, 7 mile markers on a journey to the truth. We started with water turning to wine, a sign of new beginnings. We saw healing from afar, a sign of authority over space. We watched a paralyzed man walk, a sign of power over time and rules. We were there when a few loaves fed thousands, a sign that Jesus is the bread of life. We saw him walk on a chaotic sea, a sign of mastery over nature. We witnessed a blind man see, a sign that Jesus is the light of the world. And finally, we saw a dead man walk out of his tomb, the ultimate sign that Jesus is the resurrection and the life. John didn't write these stories just to amaze us. He tells us exactly why. But these are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Each sign is a deliberate piece of evidence, building an undeniable case. They reveal his glory and invite us into a life-changing faith. These aren't just incredible stories from 2,000 years ago. They are living promises for us today. They tell us that the one who turned water to wine can transform our lives. The one who healed from a distance can reach us, wherever we are. The one who calmed the storm can bring peace into our chaos. The one who is the bread of life can satisfy our deepest,